Ryan Day, definitely a proponent of the Big Ten AQ format with 4 AQs. Not been shy to point that out. Not been shy to point out the difference between 8 and 9 conference games. He brought that up again today. Talking about Ohio State's non-conference games, and it wasn't specifically asked, as in, are the Georgia and Alabama home and home series in danger? He said the 5-11 pretty much can't, it doesn't make sense anymore to play Power 5 out of conference games. So the gauntlet has been thrown down. And if these SEC guys don't add that stupid 9th game and get us the Big Ten SEC challenge, or they don't agree to the 4-4, 2-2-1-3, we are headed towards every single college football team playing 3 trash teams to go along with the trash conference teams, of which there are some. And it's pitiful to hear my coach say that. My coach taking the soft Signetti approach. By the way, I got to show you this. Now, someone typed in, someone put, Juck said, Signetti is soft in Italian, what I said yesterday. And then my buddy Dan AI'd it. Now, this is what AI said. AI said it talks about the Italian surname, meaning swan, right, which is soft in itself. Then it says the name may be associated with grace or beauty, or perhaps families who live near water bodies. Some sources suggest it could mean soft, but this is not a direct translation of the word. On some sources. We made it, guys. We made it into the AI. Anyway, this is what Curt Signetti had to say yesterday.
Laughlin, Locked On Podcast Network. Coach, you guys recently announced that you canceled a future home and home series with Virginia. Can you talk about what went into that decision and why you think that's in the best interest for your program and the fans?
Yeah, you know, that was a scheduling philosophy that began before I was hired, but I did sign off on it upon being hired before our first season, okay? And look, here's the bottom line, okay? We picked up an extra home game, and we play 9 conference games. You know, the 2 best conferences in college football, any football guy that's objective will tell you, is the Big Ten and the SEC, all right? 12 of the 16 SEC teams play 3 G5 or an FCS game. 12 of those teams play 36 games, 29 G5 games, and 7 FCS games, and 1 less conference game. All right? So we figured we'd just adopt SEC scheduling philosophy. You know, some people don't like it. I'm more focused in on those 9 conference games. You know, not only do we want to play 9 conference games, okay, and have the 4-4 championship, the playoff format, okay, we want to have play-in games to decide who plays in those playoffs. You know, championship weekend, let's play 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. You want to decide that on the field, make sure everybody's strength of schedule is what it needs to be? Let's make everybody play 9 conference games, and on championship weekend, 3 will play 6, 4 will play 5. And there's still room for another at-large in that format. And why shouldn't the Big Ten have 4 AQs? Because Ohio State actually finished 4th in the conference at the end of the season. Indiana and Penn State were tied for 2nd. They won the tiebreaker. Ohio State won the national championship. Okay? You want to put the best teams in the playoff, give the best leagues the AQs, but make them earn it with play-in games. And we wouldn't be opposed to Big Ten SEC regular season games every year. We need to standardize the schedule across the board if we want to have objective criteria for who should be in the playoffs and who shouldn't, and we need to take the decision-making off the committee to some degree.
Everything he says is great. Everything he says is spot on. It's the tough guy attitude when the question is literally, why are you so soft? Why are you so soft, bro? Oh, it's because of the SEC. Look, man, this will never make sense to me. I understand there's a lot of Big Ten fans who are taking up for Signetti, and a lot of my friends too. And I feel like it is just the 15 years that the SEC rubbed our nose in it that has built up so much hatred that we got Ohio State fans out here defending soft Signetti when Ohio State's not operating like that just because Signetti's in the Big Ten. And while it's true, I've got just sitting here in my notes. I keep these notes here, and it's just page after page. And right here just happens to be random Big Ten and SEC schedules, the top of the conference. And when I look down at the SEC, and I look down at, I've got 10 SEC schedules right here. And of these 10 schedules, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri, and Texas A&M all play 3 cream puffs, all of them. Up on the Big Ten, you've got 9 Big Ten schedules here. And of the 9, Penn State, Indiana, Nebraska, and kind of Washington. Their third cream puff is Washington State, and I can't really ding them for playing the Apple Cup. So we're looking at basically 3.5 of the 9 Big Ten teams play cream puffs versus 80% play 3 cream puffs versus 80% of the SEC. It's not a secret that the Big Ten schedule's tougher. That's not a secret. But what's it matter to an individual program? An individual program in the current system we have, when we talk about the playoffs, it doesn't matter what conference you're in. It matters about your resume versus whoever that committee is stacking you against when they are putting you in order. And I want my resume to be the best resume or the better resume. And what is the best way to do that? Some people think it's to take 3 easy wins. I don't. I think it's to schedule up. I think that big win out of conference catapults you to a head-to-head comparison against anybody. And I think that the loss in a game like that is one that is easily recoverable from. And it's always better and best in your best interest to do that. Not only all the benefits that come with it, exposure, recruiting, especially for a program like Indiana. And this guy went 11-1 last year. Went 11-1. If he'd have gone 10-2, he'd have missed the playoffs coming out of the Big Ten. He'd have missed the playoffs. Now, if he had scheduled a tough out of conference and gone 10-2, maybe not. But as it stands, he's a school that should be scheduling up and out of conference, in my opinion. Like, he's got it backwards. Same with Nebraska and Matt Rule canceling Tennessee. That was their opportunity to show everybody, the Big Ten is tough. Watch me go into Tennessee and win. Like, they're running from this. They're making us look soft. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I like that the Big Ten isn't going down to the lowest common denominator. I like that more Big Ten teams are only scheduling 2 of those cream puff games. The Big Ten's testing themselves when they have the option to. They're choosing to. And they're giving us more entertaining games, getting themselves on the big stage more. Like, this is a good thing. The bad thing is scheduling and playing to the lowest common denominator. The SEC, as it currently stands, needs to raise themselves up. We don't need to be rooting for Big Ten teams to drop themselves down just because we're worried about some even-steven format. Anyway, that's my spiel. I know it won't change most of your minds because it's all Big Ten, Big Ten. I care about Ohio State and the good of college football as a whole. That's the order I go by. And I root for the Big Ten in the postseason or in an out-of-conference game because it makes us look good. We play in the conference. Anyway,